Michio, extra dimensions is front and center in the scientific world. No longer just science fiction. How significant is this in our understanding?
Let me tell you a story. When I was a child growing up in San Francisco, I used to visit the Japanese tea garden and to visit the carp swimming just beneath the lily pads in a two-dimensional pond. I used to spend hours looking at them. They would swim forward, backward, left and right. Their eyes were to the side, and they couldn't see me. I was in the third dimension. I was in hyperspace. They were totally unaware that there was a universe beyond their pond. And then I thought, well, what happens if I reach down and grab one of the fish, lift the fish up? Maybe that fish was a scientist, and the scientist would say, bah, humbug, science fiction, there's no world of up. Up does not exist. Well, I would grab this scientist, lift them up in the world of up, hyperspace, the third dimension. What would he see? He would see beings breathing without water, a new law of biology. Beings moving without fins, a new law of physics. And then I would put the fish back into the pond. What kind of stories would he tell? Well, today, we physicists believe, we cannot prove it yet, but we are the fish. Thinking that anything beyond our pond, anything beyond our little puny universe is science fiction. We say, bah, humbug. You see, in three dimensions, there's not enough room to put all the laws of physics. But when you go to this larger pond, this pond of hyperspace, then all the laws of physics just fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. We live in a three-dimensional world. We see pieces. We see the electromagnetic force. We see gravity. We see nuclear force. Little pieces of this unified field theory. We bring them together. Now we have the theory of the quantum theory, the theory of the small, the theory of atoms. We have the theory of Einstein, the theory of space, time, relativity, but they don't fit together until you go into hyperspace, and then they fit together beautifully. Look at smoke. Smoke permeates throughout a room. Smoke permeates in all three dimensions, but smoke never disappears. Smoke never floats into the fourth dimension. Therefore, a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension has to be smaller than smoke. But atoms also don't suddenly drift away into hyperspace. Therefore, these higher dimensions have to be smaller than an atom, or else our universe would float away, okay?
All right, now we have, that's on the microscopic scale. What about large extra dimensions that seem to be talked about now in some theories of cosmology?
Well, strings can only vibrate in 10 dimensions, but in the 90s, there was a revolution that it turns out that if you add an 11th dimension, one more dimension, then membranes can exist. Not just little strings, but beach balls and golf balls can vibrate. And perhaps our universe is a membrane, in which case perhaps some of these dimensions could be large, perhaps even infinite. So once you go from the 10-dimensional world of strings, where these dimensions are very tiny, and go to an 11 dimensions, then you're talking about a whole new picture. A picture whereby some of these dimensions could be huge. And that may even explain why gravity is so weak. Gravity is a very weak force. Perhaps gravity oozes, escapes into these higher dimensions, and that's why gravity is so weak.
This so-called hierarchy problem, which gravity may be 10 to the 39th or 10 to the 40th times smaller than the electromagnetic force. It seems if these two are fundamental forces, to have such a vast difference in scale doesn't seem to make sense.
That's right. I could put sheets of paper on the table, comb my hair, and you do this in elementary school, pick up the sheets of paper. Well, I just defied gravity. The Earth weighs 6 trillion kilograms. I defied 6 trillion kilograms with a comb by picking up pieces of paper with the electric force. That's how weak gravity is. We are like flies on flypaper. The flypaper represents our universe. We're stuck. We can't get off. But gravity oozes between flypapers, and therefore we can actually perhaps detect experimentally the presence of alternate universes. This is not just science fiction.
Thank you.